This is like to say that you only have one time to make that great impression, so you better be prepared when you contact your network to tell them about where you're going and what job you're looking for, correct?
You certainly want to be prepared. You have to have your story straight. You have to have a consistent and compelling message with your documents and tools. I believe that, again, you put the upfront work in. It takes more time. It's a little bit more tedious, but it pays off in multiples later.
Okay, you mentioned the biography. What exactly is a biography?
So a biography is a one-page document which is a narrative of your background and professional history. It's not a resume. A resume goes into a lot of detail with dates, titles, company names, things like that. The biography is more of an overview. It's a soft sell document, and it just explains, here's who I am, here's the kinds of places I've worked, this is my what I've done, these are my accomplishments, here's where I went to school. It's kind of like when you read a novel and you go on the back of the book and it has a page that talks about the author. It's a little bit more like that. It's a soft sell document, and it doesn't put off the other person. It's just a great document they can quickly read over and get a sense of your background.
From the way you've described the biography, it sounds like it positions you at a higher level than
exactly
a resume.
Right. Exactly, and I'll tell you why. The psychological response to receiving a resume, the reader thinks, oh, another job seeker, another desperate person out of work. You know, it's kind of off-putting unless you're interviewing for a position. The bio is very different. It positions you as an expert. It positions you at a higher level. It shows that you have confidence, you know your worth, and it basically says any company that gets to work with me will be fortunate indeed.
Oh, it sounds like it says, like, I don't need a job, but if you'd like me, here's what I have to offer.
That's right.
Perfect.
Very different than the resume.
Now, tell us about the target company list.
So the target company list is another tool that we develop ahead of networking. It shows that you're organized. It shows that you're professional. It shows that you're serious. You've done your homework. So the target company list, just like it sounds, is a list of companies that you are potentially targeting. So you've already identified the industries you want to work in. So you might have 4 to 8 different categories on this document. And under each of those category headings, you might have 10, 15 different companies that you have identified as the kinds of companies that you would really like to potentially work for. The whole list will usually include about 35 to 50 companies maximum.
Wow, that sounds like a great tool to use.
It is, and it helps the other person to help you. Consider this. If you go into a networking meeting and show someone your target company list, that sends a certain message, and it allows them to help you in a certain way. What if you went into the same meeting and just said to the other person, so do you know any companies I could work for? Do you know any other companies I should look at? See, you don't come off very professionally that way. You look like you haven't done your homework. You don't know what you're doing. It's a bad situation.
And plus, I would think you could get more referrals by being more specific.
Absolutely
or targeted.
right. Because in this case, when you have your target company list, a person can go through it and say, I know someone there. I used to work there. My brother-in-law works here. I happen to know somebody at that company. You can get a lot of connections that way. But if you say to someone, do you know any companies where I should work? They're like, I don't know. They don't even know how to answer that.
Now, how do you go about developing your network list? What goes into that?
Well, everybody needs a list of connections. You're right. So you start with what you already have. Start with the people you already know. I like it when people say to me, well, I don't know anybody. And I say, really? You've been living on this planet for 45 years and you don't know a soul? See, people have misconception because they think it has to be a list of people who are in a position to hire. It has to be a list of professionals, high-level executives in their industry. No, the network list, your contact list as I call it, is a list of everyone in the world who knows your name. So whether it's an employer that you had in the past, a friend, a neighbor, a professor, the mailman, your hairdresser, your tailor, your dry cleaner, coworkers, people you go bowling with, these are all people and they all have connections. So don't prejudge. Don't assume, well, my mailman, he won't know anybody. After all, I'm a high-level executive. That's a mistake. Everybody knows people. Don't prejudge who you think they know and don't know. It's amazing what kind of doors can open up to you if you're open-minded.
All right, I only have a certain amount of time to network. How do I decide the best groups of people to network with? Who are they?
Great question, and the answer may surprise you. When my clients make up their contact list, which is everyone in the world who knows their name, they ask me about prioritizing it, putting into categories, who's better, who's worse. And I say to them, don't do that. Just list them A through Z. 1 minute you'll be reaching out to a mailman, the next minute you'll be reaching out to the president of a corporation. The next minute you'll be talking to a waitress, the next minute you'll be talking to your hairdresser. The next minute you'll be talking to your next door neighbor. Don't prejudge. Everyone has something to offer. Everyone knows other people. And the best way to do this, even though it sounds counterintuitive, is to start with the A's and go down through the Z's without any consideration of their role, their level, anything like that.
I'm afraid that some of my contacts may not really want to help me out. What advice do you have about approaching?
Why wouldn't they want to help you?
I just think they would feel put off. I would feel maybe awkward about asking them. Maybe I haven't contacted them in a while, that I'm using them or I'm asking for something.
Right. So I'll answer you in a couple of ways. A networking meeting is not supposed to be one-sided. It's not just you saying, I need this, help me, give me this, give me this. It's supposed to be a balanced equation. And if you're a good listener and a good question asker, you can always find out what the other person is interested in, what they might be focused on, what their needs might be. So when you are at a one-on-one networking meeting, the bar that we set is that the other person needs to leave that networking meeting feeling just as glad they came as you do. They have to leave that meeting feeling that they got just as much out of it as you did. How do you do that? You're the one out of work. You're the one who needs a job. But they have needs too. They have interests too. Maybe they need a recommendation of a good restaurant. Maybe they want a referral to a great real estate agent. Whatever they're into, whatever they're thinking about, try to uncover their needs, try to meet their needs, answer their questions, be of service. When you approach it that way, it doesn't feel so one-sided.
Okay.